So what day today?
Today we go boat.
We're up early this morning because we're going to Sydney to meet with the boat. She hasn't got a rig on her at the moment. No rig, no sails, but we've got a whole week to get her prepared now, hopefully prior to departure. So this morning an early start from Airlie Beach, and then a flight down to Sydney, and then rent a car, then drive, then meet up with the boat. So hopefully a big day. This is the... Yeah, you love it, don't you? Yeah. How are you today? This is Dan. How are you? This is the beauty of having knowing your own local taxi driver.
Okay. Finished already?
Yep, finished. But I think I'm just exchanging all my problems here for a heap of problems on the boat. You know, it's been a long time since I've been at sea, but I do remember that every day was a challenge. Nothing's easy. You don't get given anything.
This morning is called in sick, so to get a replacement, that person's driving in, is expected to come here in about 25 minutes, be underway very shortly thereafter.
So the man who refuels the plane is sick, so they have to call in a new guy to come in and fuel the plane, and he's going to take 25 minutes, but we've already boarded, so we have to wait here for 25 minutes so he can drive his car from home through all the cane fields, past the paddocks, around the kangaroos, and get to the regional airport to refuel the plane so we can go to Sydney. But we'll get there, so we have to wait half an hour. Okay, so what's happening is the man who was coming to put fuel in the plane has arrived, but now the fuel truck is broken, cannot come. So they have enough fuel to fly to Brisbane and then can land and put more fuel and take off again and go to Sydney. So, halfway to Sydney. So that's what she looks like now without the rig. But 1 week the rig goes back on and everything good.
But where? Okay, now working.
Working? Yes. So just trying to walk through all the systems on the boat. and starting with the engine. Haven't started it yet, so just looking for where everything is. Check the fluids, so the oil and the coolant are good to go, and I've just checked to look for a seawater coolant inlet and make sure that's turned on, which it is. And so I've just traced through the fuel lines and the seawater cooling, so should be safe to start, I would think. And I think this is the refrigeration here, refrigeration pump. Alternator for charging batteries, coolant, starter motor, solenoid, I think. Seems to take seawater. That's a seawater strainer there for that must be either refrigeration or air conditioning, I'm not sure. I'll have to check that one out, but that's on the same inlet, so I don't know why that wasn't pumping out yesterday. Anyway, we'll start her up and see how we go. Okay, good.
Now start.
So good so far. So far so good. Alright.
Okay.
Must be the camera. Okay, so this is what we're looking for here. Make sure that the exhaust has water coming out. That means we've got cooling seawater going in through the engine cooling system, and that we've got a good flow of water coming out with the exhaust. So the next thing I'm looking at, now the engine's running, we checked we've got water coming over the side, is just to have a quick look over the engine and make sure that there's no coolant leaking or oil leaking or anything that's really obvious. I'm looking at the belts to make sure that there's nothing slipping, and that the engine's idling okay, doesn't seem like it's starving fuel or having any fuel issues. At the moment everything looks pretty good, so I think the engine's good to go. So next thing we want to check is are we getting drive out of the prop, out of the shaft or not? And the way to check that is to actually put the boat in gear. But before we do that, we're going to have to check and make sure that we're tied up alongside, because if we put her in gear, she might drive away. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so all the lines are good. So now we'll just put it into gear and we'll just see if she has forward drive or not. And she does. So the next thing I want to check is that the autopilot is working correctly. So I haven't used this particular model, but it shouldn't be too hard. So that's our autopilot there. It's giving me the bearing is saying it's on standby. The helm's free to turn.
Oh, they together?
Yes. Yeah, they both work together. So it's giving me a heading of 119 degrees magnetic, and what I'm going to do is set the autopilot on that course, and of course the autopilot will think we're always on course. Okay, so that's our hydraulic ram for the autopilot down in there, and so what happens is as the autopilot corrects, that ram pushes in and out, and that will push that that quadrant there, which is what our steering is attached to. It's attached to the rudder. So what we're looking for is whether the autopilot turns the quadrant, basically, and we should be able to see that autopilot ram arm moving in and out. So let's give it a try. We'll try and go standby. That one. Try that one. No navigation data. Okay. It's going to take a little while to work out. Auto. We go auto. Oh, there we go. Autopilot. That's all I had to do. Okay, so yes, you just have to find the right button. So that's the autopilot there. So she's currently steering herself and trying to maintain that course of 120 magnetic. So if I add 10 degrees to starboard and say I want to steer a course of 130, then what should happen is the wheel should turn. So I might actually add 40 degrees and we'll see what happens. So when it turns, let's see what happens to the wheel. Okay? And there we go. So now the boat's trying to turn to starboard, trying to get the boat onto that course, which it won't be able to do because we're not moving and it can't change the course of the boat. And if I change it back, she'll turn to port. Okay, good. So this is the anchor winch control. It's a remote control from the cockpit that controls the anchor winch on the bow. So it's all electric, and this thing apparently counts the chain links as they go past so that we know how many metres have gone out and how many metres come back. I did test it from up forward yesterday just to quickly see that the windlass is capable of pulling in and pushing out, which it did just fine actually. I felt it was really quite strong, one of the strongest ones I've played with. So, but what I want to do is just check that this thing actually works. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to go forward and we're going to take the chain off the windlass, and then I'm going to control the windlass from here, and Tan, you're going to film up there to make sure it moves. So let's go do that. Okay, so that's our anchor locker. And that's the windlass there. Like I said, this is pretty powerful. I'm actually really impressed with it so far. Hopefully it performs when I get out there and actually do a real anchor. There's a little remote control here. Now what we don't want to do is let the whole anchor go, so I'm just going to back it off just a little bit, take the pressure off the chain there, maybe a little more. There we go. And so now we should be able to take the anchor chain away from the windlass. So now the windlass can run free, both directions. So that looks good.
Test, no?
Test, yeah. So that was episode 1, and in episode 2 we'll be switching over to more practical stuff on board the boat as I go through all the systems one by one, including the air conditioning systems, the electronics, batteries, water, and sort of more essential systems on board the boat that I haven't done in episode 1. Bit by bit we're getting closer and closer to getting ready for departure. Weather window may be looking good. It's hard to say for our departure, we'll see. May have to delay our departure depending on the weather forecast, because I'm not going to go out there if it's not a good forecast. But we'll just work it out as we go. So looking forward to episode 2.